All right. Welcome, everyone. Welcome back to the SoCal AI Talks podcast. I'm your host, Edgar, along with my partner, Luis, and we talk to business owners and entrepreneurs about their field of expertise, touch a little bit on future of AI. Today, we have Terry Linde, who is the owner of Destiny Management LLC. Terry, thank you so much for joining us. Welcome. We appreciate
Thank
having
you.
you on. So, Terry, why don't we start off with a little bit of background on yourself? Why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself, how you got started with Destiny Management, and where we at today?
I got started way back in the mid 80s, mainly for training for my sports and hobbies, and worked at gyms and wanted to always own a gym. So I went to school for that, got a bachelor's in physical education with a minor in business, thinking going into a gym. And then personal training was just starting at the gym that I was working at when I graduated college. So started their personal training program, and they unfortunately went out of business, and I kept the clients going as my own business, and that's pretty much gone from there. But we started with one-on-one personal training, and a lot of my clients were small business owners, so they helped mentor me on how to do things. And we got into some nutritional programming, and then we got into corporate wellness programs. I put together some books and videos over the years. So we have quite an array of services that we can provide. And I've always believed in holistic medicine. So I've always tried to form partnerships with chiropractors, naturopaths, massage therapists. So
That's great.
we have a good relationship to encompass the whole wellness and health of a person.
That's awesome. And you're located in Wellton, Arizona, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, awesome.
I was born and raised up in the Seattle, Washington area. And then recently we moved down to Arizona. So a little bit back and forth right now, but we're trying to get down to Arizona full time.
That's quite a change. That's very green to a lot of desert.
Yeah, I've had enough of the rain.
And that's what most people say when they're from the PNW area,
Yes.
Pacific Northwest for non-acronym people. So we see you offer lots of services on your website. It looks like you can even create an account. Is that for your nutrition program? Do you offer like meal services per se?
Meal services, but nutritional programming. So we can like set the correct calorie level for a person.
Okay.
And work with their macronutrients, proteins, carbohydrates, and fats. And one philosophy that I've always followed that is a little different from most is that there's a certain ratio of protein, carbohydrates, and fat that works for an individual. So we work with, there's two main signs that will determine the ratio. So satiety, how full you feel after a meal, and energy levels. So if you've ever eaten a meal, like in 5, 10, 15 minutes, gotten really tired, you start yawning, so on. That's because you get an insulin spike, and two main hormones, insulin and glucagon. So we just work on balancing that out with a person and finding the right ratio, because protein stimulates glucagon, carbohydrates stimulate insulin, and we want to try and keep them in balance. And then you should feel really full after a meal and have really good energy and not have the ups and downs or the spikes. And that's kind of what led me into the diabetes program, because I've always percentage of my clients that are either type 1, type 2 diabetic. So working with them over the years and with this philosophy, working on stabilizing blood sugar.
Wow.
That's awesome. Yeah, that's it hits close to home because I have family members who are diabetic. So when I saw your YouTube and you have several videos, about diabetes program and nutrition and how you can use that to help really hit it home. So very educational, and you are obviously very knowledgeable. Edgar's a personal trainer himself, so I saw him, going like this. A lot of stuff that you were saying.
Yeah,
He was one of the first people that
I'm not a nutrition expert. I'm more on the exercise side of it, but I know some of the terminology that you're talking about.
Yeah, he was one of the first to in our group to bring up like the keto diet, where it's high protein, very low, no carbs really. So when you were speaking of that, totally brought back that memory when Edgar first introduced us to keto.
Yeah. I this is a few years ago. I was about 240, right? And my diet was just horrible. And this is when like keto diet was first kind of being known, right? And so I decided to try it. It worked well for me for about 6 months. It's just really hard to maintain, and it's just hard to, at the time it was hard to find the right things to eat. Now there's so many options, right? I mean, you go to Costco, and Costco has a bunch of like keto friendly options, and even restaurants, they offered keto friendly options, right? But yeah,
Wasn't a thing. Yeah, wasn't
Yeah,
a
it
thing
was
a
in a
few
thing
years
back then.
ago.
Yeah,
Yeah, like gluten and dairy sensitivities. I've gotten
right.
those later in life, and yeah, before if you did a gluten-free item, it tasted so horrible. But
Yeah,
they've come a long way over the last few years, and
yeah,
now you see them just about everywhere.
yeah. So Terry, let's talk about your involvement with like corporate wellness. So that seems to be an area that's growing. Corporate wellness. Tell us a little bit about how you're involved with that and how Destiny Management plays a part in that.
Can do a wide array of services. So since COVID, a lot of the business has turned virtual versus in person. So it's more webinars versus seminars. But we have a series of webinars from on training and nutrition key principles, low back care, making and breaking habits, and managing stress. And then we also do have a communications and personality style workshop for businesses to help their employees communicate better with each other. There's 4 main personality styles, and most people are a combination of them. So we have ways of determining that and helping with
Your business is
communication.
very scientific. You have a lot of science behind everything you do. I love it.
Yeah, that actually came out of a client who was working at Boeing quite a few years ago that
Mm,
went through this process. So I learned about it and then took some courses on that as well. I have been like CPR first aid certified to be an instructor. I don't currently instruct that now, but I'm also was certified through OSHA for ergonomic
mm-hmm.
evaluations. So any of those series of webinars we usually do like as a brown bag lunch type thing. So during a lunch break, we'll put on a webinar for employees or whatever the company would like. And we can also do health fairs where I work with my network and get chiropractors, massage therapists, naturopaths to do presentations on. I have people that can do like for psychological, more specific for managing stress and specifics. So we could run those throughout the day and work a health fair for the company. And then we can also help them manage the data so they can see what's changing. Repetitive stress injuries, are they increasing, decreasing, staying the same? Absenteeism, morale, those types of things. So we can track that for the company and then give them the information. So typically my niche is like smaller companies. For that, typically larger corporations would have their own wellness program, but we have gone on site at some larger companies that have a gym and then provide services like training and nutrition services for the employees at their gym as well.
Wow. You guys do a lot.
Well, I've been around for a few years, so over the years, it's all added
Yeah,
up.
Yeah, we did see that you've been in the business or running this company for 30 years. It said on your LinkedIn page.
2006.
Say that
Is
again?
it 2006? Is that when you started?
I actually started back in 1987. We just had
87.
a name
Okay.
change to the company for
Oh,
Destiny Management in
Got it. Got it. Okay.
2006.
Okay.
so Terry, tell us what's going well and maybe some of the challenges you are experiencing now at Destiny Management.
Well, it's gone well to stay in business this long. Always finding ways to, I guess, to be able to grow the business. COVID was a big challenge because all of my training up until that point was in person. And it was kind of a challenge to get things going online more with Zoom or something like that. But that has ended up working out well. So biggest challenge I could say is always going to be sales and marketing for training because trainers don't get into the business to sell. They get into the business to help people and set them up on programs. And in person, it's always been referral based and it still is to a large extent. But my biggest challenge is trying to find out a marketing tool that is actually successful without being face to face with the social media and virtual platforms.
And I mean, I see on your website you do have YouTube. As I mentioned, I scoured through that a little bit because I was fascinated by the diabetes video. So I maybe spent a little too much time looking at that. But I saw your LinkedIn. Are you also on Instagram? I see you're on X. Do you manage
Instagram,
all these social?
Facebook, Pinterest.
Okay. I don't see your Instagram on your website, and I see you actually have like a little. It wasn't very obvious right away, but I see you can actually shop for some stuff here. Like I see a little yoga mat or something like that you can buy through to some of
Yeah,
your
we have
links that you
nutritional supplements. We work
and
with
supplements.
Thorne,
Yeah,
and we
it's
work with
awesome.
some basic fitness products like Bosu balls, Bosu trainers, stability balls, yoga mats, tubing kits. So a lot of my
Okay.
clients do work out in their home and they
Yeah.
don't have equipment. So I will get them set up with like mini bands or tubing in addition to their body weight.
What would you
Got it.
say your demographic is? Is it more of a younger crowd, older crowd, males, females? What would you say your demographic is?
For the actual training appointments, it's always been fairly close, but a little bit more towards women, say like 55%, 45%. Uh, Professional babies boomers has always been my main market. However, now it is starting to change. So with this online virtual training, people are getting a little bit younger. So have to be a little more technologically savvy, and say in the mid 30s to mid 40s is the age group right now, but both men and women fairly close to equal.
So the virtuals, I imagine, came about when COVID hit, and it seems like you've been able to maintain those. What's your ratio of virtual sessions to in-person sessions for personal training?
Right now it's about 50.
Wow, that's pretty.
Yeah. So
That's a
I do
good,
go
very
by
good ratio.
appointments. So I'd say the majority of people are virtual, but my in-person train more frequently. So by appointments, it's 50-50, but it's a little bit more virtual by number of people.
Got it. Yeah,
That makes sense.
interesting.
And what kind of tools do you use to manage all of that? Like to manage your virtuals? What tools, virtual tools do you use for that?
I imagine you have a CRM system.
Yes, we use Active Campaign for emails and automations for follow-ups and those types of things. And we use a fitness app called Trainerize. So that seems to work really
I'm
well
familiar with
for.
Trainerize. That's a great app, actually.
Yeah, it seems to work well, and clients seem to be able to use it fairly easy and
Yeah.
like it. And they have video demonstrations for the exercises. You can upload your own videos, and they have a way of filling in what they're doing when I don't see them. So it sends me the information right away, and I can manage their progress for sets, reps, weight, that type of.
Wow,
Yeah.
you can manage reps on that app.
Yeah,
That's
you
pretty.
fill in how many
That's really
sets, how
good.
many
Oh, you
reps you
fill it in.
do,
Oh, okay.
make the
I thought it was
comments.
like tracking you some way or another. I was like, wow, that's
Yeah.
pretty high tech. But I see you say you enter it yourself. Okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
So a little bit of background on me. I'm a former gym owner myself. I used to be a franchisee for a franchise called Fit Body Boot Camp. I don't know if you have those in your area or not, but for me, I invested in that right before COVID, right? I bought it from an existing owner, and we're doing really well, right? Right up until that first shutdown. But right before we did that, we were trying to transition everybody onto Trainerize because we saw the value in it, and it was, such a great tool. So that's how I'm familiar with Trainerize.
Yeah, that's it. It's amazing how small of world things can be sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Terry, tell us like the next 6 to 12 months. What are some highlights you see coming up, or what are your plans for the next 6 to 12 months for the company?
Well, the main goal is to get everything transitioned, say as close to 100% virtual as possible. And then that would get me down to Arizona full time. So in-person appointments are still up in Washington. So that's why I'm going back and forth now. So ultimately that would be the main goal. But to keep things going as they are with the fitness, I'm working more with getting a consistent flow of marketing with social media and fine-tuning that, getting that better. And then getting the diabetes program going. So it is approved by the American Diabetes Association. And we have different options. One is full blown. That can get some insurance reimbursement, and it works with a registered dietitian for the nutrition. And then two other basic options where we're just working with them for basic nutritional programming like I would with clients, and working on managing their blood sugar.
Wow,
Got it.
that's awesome that you have so many services, because you can. It's not just training. You can sell them something else.
Yeah, it's the add-on services, right? Yeah. 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 So Terry, the reason we're called SoCal AI Talks, this is where we do our podcast, is because we like to talk to owners like yourself and entrepreneurs. Everything that we do for our business is pretty much managed through AI. So as far as that goes, have you ever considered using any, with the way AI is now, it's pretty much everywhere, right? Have you ever considered using any of those tools for your business and to manage some of that CRM and marketing? Is that something that's crossed your mind or not?
Crossed my mind. I do use it for giving me ideas for blog posts and marketing and articles on various topics fit for fitness and nutrition. And I do use it a little bit with Active Campaign, but I haven't really used it too much for managing the business, but more for the marketing end of it.
Yeah, it's a
Got it.
great brainstorming tool. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So what we like to do with this conversation is after we're done with our podcast here, we'll take the transcript and we'll put it into an AI tool that will then analyze the transcript and will analyze the conversation, and then will give us any potential solutions or benefits for you to implement some AI tools. And we want to send that to you completely free of charge, just as a thank you for joining us on our show today. But when you get an opportunity, go through that, and maybe that's something that can spark your interest in implementing AI tools in any other way.
That sounds great.
Again, yeah, this call is actually being run through an AI studio right now. And so, yeah, Luis is managing that. So once we're done, that transcript gets analyzed, and then we'll send that to your way as well.
Okay, that's great. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we are coming up on time here, Terry, and we do want to give you obviously the opportunity to as well promote your business, tell our viewers how they can get in contact with you, how they can maybe book a personal training with you or a virtual training with you, or even get into your wellness programs for nutritional purposes or diabetes management. So yeah, take the time to tell us where to find you.
If they do go to the website, destinymanagement.com, my contact information is there. And there's also ways to set up a free discovery consultation where I'm glad to meet with anybody to go over any questions, kind of meet kind of face-to-face with Zoom, but get an initial reading of what like their health issues might be and if it is something that I could work with them with. But just to find out basic information from a person. There's never any obligation. Our programs do offer trials, free trials, and we do have some actual courses. If we just add courses.destinymgt.com. There's fitness and nutrition mastery course. There's sports conditioning courses for golf, football, soccer, and that's where they can find the diabetes programs also. Great. As well as on our website.
Very cool. It's like an all-around service, Terry. Congratulations. You've
That's
done a
what we've
great job.
strived for.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you, Terry, so much for being on our podcast today. We do appreciate you taking the time, and we'll be in touch.
All right. Sounds good. It was nice to meet both of you.